Disclaimer, I have no idea what happened to the audio for this. I was working on it before Con Bravo, but I didn't finish it in time, which is why it's coming out late. So sorry if this news actually turns out to be really outdated. Then there's a point where some people's voices desync, namely mine, and it winds up way behind everybody else's, so they start to overlap. I'm not sure why it happened, but I'm sorry about this, and thanks, Konami.
Welcome to the new River City Gamers Podcast, hosted by SCXCR and Well Unreal 007, as well as many other members from the River City Gamers website. Stay tuned for all the gaming news, new pickups, and everything else we feel like talking about on the River City Gamers Podcast.
Hi and welcome to the River City Gamers Podcast. I'm SCXCR.
I'm Dr. Connor's class.
I'm Blanca Gamer. I think you guys need to check your leg, because otherwise this podcast might drag out to be like 3 hours long.
Let me
I'm Nightman.
restart the call. Wait a minute, we don't have a call. We're on Discord.
Well, Discord is a call.
Speaking of calls, gaming news.
Gaming news! So real.
Good segue.
Nailed it.
Yeah.
So, this isn't exactly news, but Pokemon Go happened.
Oh yeah, that's definitely a thing.
There's been good, there's been bad, and there's been stupid.
Which goes with anything that gets explosively popular, really.
In the case of Pokemon Go, like, with some of the things that happen, you can mix bad and stupid together in some cases.
Well, I mean, some of the bad is that it's not very clear on how to play certain parts of the game. But I'll get to that in a bit. Let's start off with the good, which is, can any of you guess how much money? It's actually been quantified down to the minute, how much money they're making off of this game.
Insert Dragon Ball Z reference here.
Per minute.
Per minute. I'll give you
I
a hint.
I don't want to say 1,000 per minute.
Well, here's a comparison.
Or a
Clash of
million.
Clans, another mobile game, generates around $2,600 per minute. Where do you think Pokemon Go relates to that?
Probably 6,000-ish.
Maybe like 10,000.
It is 10,000.
Wow. I was right.
So, as a result of all of that money, their stock prices went up a ridiculous amount. And now Nintendo's more valuable than Sony.
Wow. So it's like that image with that GIF with the DS. It prints money, but instead of the DS,
It's just a smartphone with
it's
Pokemon
just-
Go on it.
Exactly. The funny
Wait,
thing
isn't
that
the app free, or is it like $10?
I was just about to say that. Yeah, it is free to play,
It is free to play.
but there are like in-app purchases.
Yes,
I
there
think.
are.
Okay, so I guess that's where the revenue is coming from. Just from like, even if just a few people of the numerous people that play it get purchases, that's still a lot of money they're getting.
It will always. Oni, please get out.
Oh, Nate, we're in a podcast.
We're in a podcast. Abandoned Quest. Oh no.
Crap.
Keep this in.
I didn't even know y'all were on here.
We're doing a podcast.
We're doing a podcast because Skype won't work.
Oh, I'll get out then. Sorry.
Okay.
Oni, everybody!
Yeah.
Yay.
Hey, just cut me out.
No, I'm leaving all of this
Keeping
in.
this in.
Oh god. No.
Alright, yeah, I'll go ahead and leave now unless y'all want me to stay.
No,
Nah,
we already got our.
four's our
we
limit.
already got our 4. So
Next podcast.
Alright, remind me then.
Okay.
Alright.
That's the height of the podcast. I think we should just stop.
Yeah, we should just stop now. I'm SCXCR.
I'm Unreal. Okay.
Okay, that was the good about Pokemon Go. Now for some of the bad.
Wait, Oni was the good of Pokemon Go? Where'd that come from?
Just go with it. Moving on.
Go with it.
So, people do want some changes made to it, namely not having Pokemon Go stops or gyms put at cemeteries, or having Pokemon appear in cemeteries.
Wouldn't that be where all the ghost Pokemon be, though?
Actually, I can tell you from experience, yes.
Oh dear.
I got
That's not sitting
a
well with
ghost
some
Pokemon
people.
from across my street, so.
I honestly think like in my area, like where I work, we're right near like the town park, and I think on my drive out, I'm just seeing like one kid or like one person on like their bicycle and they have their phone out, and I'm just like, wow, I wonder who's playing Pokemon Go. Like I probably would have laughed if that person hit a tree, but that's mean. So no. Like, have any of you guys had any Pokemon Go sightings? Like I don't have the game. I don't even have a smartphone. But I'm just like, you just look and see people doing stuff. Have had any interactions like that?
I haven't really looked at myself because even though I have an Android, I can't download it on there. It's not compatible. Probably because it's like a less powerful, older smartphone. But because of that, I haven't really seen myself people going out for Pokemon Go. But then again, I'm in a smaller town too. So, but my brother, he's in a bigger town, and when that game came out, like he pretty much went into like his downtown area, and there was a lot of people going at it, just catching Pokemon and all that. So it is definitely a phenomenon for sure.
Some people I know in my town had some little Facebook events about meeting up somewhere, maybe around in Hartford or whatever. They had a whole big event about people getting together and going around catching Pokemon.
I have Pokemon Go, and I've played Pokemon Go. And Takeru Chimaru and I went to Ohio State campus, and there are tons of people there playing Pokemon Go. And there are like a couple little hotspots where there's like 3 Pokemon Go stops all in close proximity, where people will just camp out there.
Has the college like done anything about this, or they're just like, screw it?
They don't really care.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, as long as you're not.
So like, people aren't out there till like 4 a.m., right?
Well, it's a college campus, so people are out until 4 a.m. But
But
not
now
always for
it's for
Pokemon Go.
But yeah, I mean, as long as you don't do anything bad or go trespass or anything trying to get to these Pokemon, I don't really see it being that much of an issue. Although some places where it's like, hey, there's this thing in the middle of the cemetery or in this church that might be a little bit iffy on whether or not it's okay to go in there just for the sake of like, oh, I need to get this Pokemon.
Yeah, other places have asked to be removed as Pokemon Go stops, such as the Holocaust Museum.
Ugh.
Ooh.
Oh.
I mean, if you're good, I mean, yeah, I mean, places like that, it's understandable because, given the nature of the place.
A little too touchy.
Yeah, didn't used to be a nice neighborhood, but yeah, everyone already knows this, but it obviously needs to be said. Be careful when doing Pokemon Go.
We'll get to that later. That's under the stupid section.
Oh man.
But
I mean, the game does tell you, like, be aware of your surroundings and stuff, because I did see my brother play it, and it's like, it does tell you warnings and stuff like that,
Yeah, when you fire up the game, 2 things happen. 1, it gives you the load-up graphic for the company who made it, and 2, it gives you the watch the fuck out, moron little warning.
There's some people out there that don't pass that second test, dude.
Well,
Oh, they're
Reading
probably
inside-
just like, who the fuck is a Niantic?
Niantic, I don't have that Pokemon. Anyway, moving on, there have been a bunch of petitions started about this game. Now, some of them make sense, like a petition to have it compatible with Windows and Intel phones. No problem with that. My problem is with petitions such as a petition to stop people from playing Pokemon Go while they're driving, which there are already laws about using phones while you're driving.
Isn't the point of it just to walk around to catch Pokemon and doing that and not drive around?
Yeah, but there are things in Pokemon which are tied to how much distance you travel. Like there are eggs for Pokemon you can hatch where if you move so many kilometers, they'll hatch and give you a new Pokemon.
Right, but it kind of goes without saying, though, you shouldn't use your phone at all when driving to begin with, so...
And,
not.
and my favorite petition, the American Family Association, aka A Joke, started a petition to ban Pokemon Go.
Yeah, good luck with that.
And then another petition was started to ban American Family Association from banning Pokemon Go.
And this is why I don't take petitions very seriously.
Oh my god.
Now, there was a survey done recently by a consulting firm called Quantic Foundry about how people play video games with other people. Now, they surveyed 1,200 people about how they prefer to play games with others. Now, what do you think was more popular? Competitive multiplayer or co-op multiplayer?
Name something gamers enjoy. Neck of grandma. But seriously, I feel like, for some reason, I feel like this would be like a near 50-50 split, but I think the edge is really, God, it could really go either way.
I
Like
want
in my mind.
I want to say it would go more towards competitive. What with like games like Overwatch and stuff recently.
Yeah, me too. But I'm just gonna say lean slightly towards co-op, just very slightly. Competitive's probably gonna win though, but you know.
Well, according to the Quantic Foundry survey, the more popular option was co-op multiplayer.
I win. Fuck you guys.
And you know what? It's not a 50-50 split.
So
There's a pretty clear preference for co-op, and a strong preference among both men and women for local co-op.
Huh.
yeah, because games just don't like to have it anymore, which is dumb. I mean, for most games nowadays, you'd be lucky to get like 2 players on the same couch. 4 is like a rarity. I mean, the biggest exception was 8-player Smash and Smash Bros. But that's like the only game.
Well, only
Could
major
even
game.
pull that off.
Yeah, this is almost like it's catering almost towards me because I tend to prefer more co-op multiplayer stuff than competitive. So I find it kind of funny.
Too, because, well, we play Monster Hunter. I think that helps. And if my sessions in Overwatch have been sane, I'm just like, I'm getting annoyed at competitive because there's a lot of high barriers. It just stops being fun. It gets fun sometimes, but that's just me because I'm a baby.
Well, you guys know I play Killing Floor 2 a lot, so I'll just sit out there and say that the competitive mode and then Killing Floor 2 kind of sucks. So
well,
there was a competitive mode?
in the new one, yeah.
That sounds bad.
yeah, but Killing
was
Floor is a co-op multiplayer game anyway, so I don't really see a need for the competitive.
Yeah,
Too.
it's there anyway, but I tried it. It sucks. Might as well just stick with the co-op.
But yeah, I mean, people usually play Killing Floor for as well. So
All right, well, moving on, we go to Evo.
oh yeah, Evo happened.
Yeah, and not only did Evo happen, but I know we covered this in a previous thing, but part of Evo was broadcast by ESPN. A couple of things happened. One's sort of funny, one's not at all funny. One is they had Smash Brothers at Evo.
Okay.
And one of the players of Smash Brothers was involved in an altercation that ended with him getting charged with sexual assault.
Okay.
Actually, I shouldn't say that. Accused of sexual assault, we'll say that.
Okay.
And then the other thing that happened, which was kind of dumb but also a little funny, is that the final matchup in the Street Fighter V competition took place between a player named Infiltration and a Japanese player named Fudo. Fudo is, among other things, an Armika player.
Mm-hmm.
And you know how Armika's costumes usually look. Remember what I said about this being broadcast on ESPN?
Yes, so let me guess. The costume he picked for her was,
Yeah, he picked the default costume, and it was too revealing for ESPN. So he had to back out and change the costume of his character for the fight.
Oh, okay. That's not what I think it. That's not what I was like assuming was gonna happen. I was thinking of a different Evo-related story. I think this was one of the guys that won at Evo. I don't remember what fighting game or what game he played, but I think there was a tweet that was along the lines of, "I won, so something along the lines of, wanting more hentai of this one thing." That's the most I remember. I don't know if it was of a character or something. I'd have to look
tweet
it up
from the
again.
winner of the Pokken Evo tournament.
Oh yes, it was Pokken. It was fucking. Was it the Blaziken?
I'm not in it for the
hentai or
money.
something?
I'm not in it for the honor of victory. I went to win for more Bryson hentai.
I think that's the Japanese Blaziken, maybe. But yeah, it was Pokken. He won Evo for more hentai of a Pokemon.
Jesus Christ.
Well, everyone has their priorities.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah. Let's just move on from that.
Yeah, sure.
This is the last thing I'm going to mention. The Nintendo NX, which we still don't know much about.
I'm sure we will eventually.
Well, Ubisoft has said something about the NX.
Which
There
is
There was an earnings call recently, and God, I can never pronounce this guy's name. Yves Guillemot?
Yves Guillemot?
Well,
that the president of Ubisoft?
Yeah, that's the president.
Well, he's said something about the NX, and I have a feeling we're not going to talk about this very much because it's incredibly vague. He said, quote, "On the NX, what we have seen is really great. We think having a new machine coming is going to help the industry to continue to grow and to take a lot more casual players back to the industry." That's it.
So they're trying to get back the casual market with the Wii again?
It's
I think that's a slippery slope to go down.
so bizarre. Like, we still
Or at least,
don't know
well-
anything about the NX.
I know.
And it's
it-
projected to come out in March of next year.
And is Ubisoft on board with it?
Yes.
Because that's kind of funny considering they kind of sort of dropped out of the Wii U. after
They'll be
a little
on
while.
board for like the first 6 months and then cancel a bunch of projects, drop out, and transfer a bunch of them to Steam.
Yes, exactly that. I'm pretty sure, like, other companies are gonna do the same thing. It's just, it's a never-ending cycle. But pretty sure we knew, at least from E3, that Ubisoft was going with the NX because, well, one of the only mention of NX at E3 was at the Ubisoft conference for Just Dance. That's it.
Oh, speaking of Nintendo, they did announce that new what was it, that mini NES thing that's coming out this holidays with the
Yeah, they did.
It has like 30 built-in games. At least we know that's coming out this holiday from Nintendo. That's probably going to make them a bit of money.
Yeah, I think it's pretty cool that they're doing that.
I'm not sure how to feel about it. I do find that it's interesting that they have those like NES controllers. It seems like those will be compatible with like the Wii controllers. It looks like it has the same plugin. If it will work, I assume it will. I don't know.
You guys
This
want
note's
the
coming
full
out.
list of the games that are going to be included.
But yeah, it's like 30, I believe.
Yeah, I'll just run down them real quick. Balloon Fight, Bubble Bobble, Castlevania, Castlevania 2, Donkey Kong Jr., Double Dragon 2, Dr. Mario, I almost said Double Mario. Excite Bike, Final Fantasy, Galaga, Ghosts and Goblins, Gradius, Ice Climber, Kid Icarus, Kirby's Adventure, Mario Brothers, Mega Man 2, Metroid, Ninja Gaiden, Pac-Man, Punch-Out featuring Mr. Dream, Star Tropics, Super C, Super Mario Brothers 2, Super Mario Bros. 3, Tecmo Bowl, The Legend of Zelda, and Zelda 2.
For a second, I thought you were gonna read that like at least less than halfway through. I thought you were gonna transition into the college humor like guy's voice, like Dr. Mario, Double Dragon 2. This guy, I don't know what the fuck he is.
And Frogger.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, that's actually not a bad list, all things considering. I mean, there's no Castlevania 3, and we have Contra, and there's no Contra, and so we have Super C, but other than that,
I'm okay with that list.
Yeah.
I mean,
Little weird
I
that-
already have pretty much all of those, but sure.
Yeah,
Little
same
weird
here, but
A little weird they have Mega Man 2, but no Mega Man 1. But
that's because
alright.
most people prefer
I
2.
don't disagree with that at all.
Most people prefer Mega Man 2 over the first
Mega Man
one.
1 is balls hard.
That's a good point.
Also, Mega Man 2 was the one that really caused the franchise to take off.
Yeah.
Yeah, alright.
Wait, did we talk about the Sonic stuff?
Do we want to mention the Sonic stuff?
I think we should. I mean, it
Okay,
is
well, you're
something-
on your own, because I don't know anything that happened during that.
Well, okay, so Sonic had 25th anniversary stream. Things happened. Reveals happened. Crush 40 music performances happened. Okay, there was one thing on Twitter that I saw where Crush 40 was performing. It's like, okay, let's put the mic to the audience, and this one guy, oh my god. I'd have to find it and show it later, but it was not great when that guy got to the mic. Not the Crush 40 singer, just like, you know, the audience guy. It was like, it sounded like he was screaming nonsense. But that's
Well,
not
have
what
you
we're
read the
talking
lyrics
about.
to most of the songs written for Sonic
I
games?
think.
Or I was gonna say, like, or any
I
of
don't
the
even
Sonic
think he
fan
got
base.
the lyric. I don't even think the audience member got the lyrics right. It just sounded like bloody murder. I'll link it to you guys if I can find it.
Bloody
somewhere on-
murder!
So I assume they were games, not just this audience guy, right?
Well, I'm only going to focus on the two, I guess the two surprises. The first one was Sonic Mania, which is like a new 2D game that looks really good. Like, visually, it looks really good. And
Yeah,
it's
it actually-
super promising.
It actually kind of looks like, ironically, like Freedom Planet, in a way. You know?
Yeah.
I guess so.
From what I saw, it's pretty much what Sonic 4 should have been.
Just ignore Sonic 4.
A lot of people do. But
Yeah, everyone does. But the other thing, the Sonic Team project. Keep in mind, Sonic Mania is not a Sonic Team thing. The Sonic Team game that they're working on is... They didn't reveal a title. They showed a trailer, and it has modern Sonic and old Sonic again. So it's pretty much implied it's probably going to be called Generations 2. They might give it a different title, but that's the most we saw. Like, they were both there. Dark, edgy world is under attack. They go after Robot. Join the Resistance next year. Oh, and here's the big thing. NX is a planned platform for the new Sonic game. Not Sonic Mania, though. Which is weird.
You think Mania might just be a download title for a bunch of different platforms?
Well, Mania's confirmed for PC, PS4, and Xbox One. They didn't say anything about NX, and it's not going on Wii U. So, I mean, I guess with Wii U, whatever, but like, I don't know why the NX got left out. Although, again, the Sonic Team game is going on NX.
maybe it'll get ported to the NX eventually.
That's what I was thinking. Like, they'll probably do an NX port, or they may not do it at all.
I don't know, we'll see. But yeah, I mean, considering how well Generations do, it kind of doesn't surprise me that they would do, if they're doing this again, you know, just with more stages from like the different Sonic games.
I'm all for it.
And, okay, that's the end of gaming news. For
Yeah,
sure.
I think so.
Which brings us to upcoming releases, and this is not going to take very long.
Considering the last podcast, yeah.
Let's see what's coming up in the next month or so on Xbox One. Okay, nothing. Alright, let's move on to the Wii U. See what's coming up in the next month or so. Okay, nothing. Let's move on to the 3DS. And, Metroid Prime Federation Force coming August 19th.
Oh, it's
Oh.
coming out then?
Oh.
Huh.
Oh, quick thing to mention. I'm not sure if you guys heard this, but Metroid Prime Blast Ball is on eShop and it's playable.
Metroid Prime Blast Ball? Oh, you mean that competitive
Yeah,
mode?
Yes, I downloaded it. You may as well delete the Generations demo if you didn't, and try that out. But that's
Is it a demo?
unrelated, but
or-
that is out. I think it's just the Blast Ball demo. You can play online and stuff.
Okay. I think I do plan on getting Federation Force because, well, it is another Metroid, spin-off or not, and I know people are salty over it, but still willing to give it a shot.
I kind of forgot it was a thing for a while.
Some people
I'm probably
did,
gonna wait a bit on Federation Force.
Oh, anything else besides Federation Force next month?
Well, also next month, No Man's Sky.
Ooh, okay. It is coming out soon.
Interesting one.
Yeah, this sci-fi guy in me definitely wants to check it out.
Yeah, I previously said that I want to have a PlayStation 4 by the time No Man's Sky comes out. That's not going to happen.
Yeah.
I'm probably going to get it on Steam, so...
And the last one I'll mention, also coming up in a month, King of Fighters 14.
Okay.
What?
It's weird seeing the turnaround of people's perception of this game, because when it first got revealed, people were really down on how it looked. But as more videos have come out, people have slowly turned around and are thinking, wow, this could be really good.
I guess it was a case of, like, screenshots versus the game in actual motion, right?
No, they showed the game in motion during the reveal. And I think part of it was the whole transition from going to the sprite work to the 3D models.
Okay.
Also, it might have been an early build because some of the models didn't really look that good.
Right, okay. I guess, but people are probably slowly warming up to it from the sounds of it.
Yeah, I think it helped with some of the video teasers that they did. Like, they had a teaser for Geese Howard, which was basically just a solid 30 seconds to 40 seconds of him countering everything with a hip toss and saying, "Predict the border!"
Okay, I mean, I haven't really played any of the King of Fighters, but sounds like it could be fun.
Just hope it's not too easy! Anyone? No? Okay, moving on.
Yeah, like I said, I don't really play King of Fighters.
Well, that's all I got for upcoming releases. There's really not much over the summer.
We mentioned a few, though. It's fine.
This isn't the fastest upcoming releases we've ever done, but it was still pretty short.
Yeah.
Which now leads us into recent pickups. And I don't know who wants to go first. Just start talking.
Well, I did pick up Monster Hunter Generations, but I figured one of you two is going to talk about it regardless, and I'll just pipe in with that when we do. The only other game that I recently picked up that I played a little bit of was the Punisher game on Xbox. Now, I'm not a huge comic book fan, but I do at least know what Punisher is about. You know, he's a vigilante and pretty much just kills all criminals. And it's definitely a dark and gritty type of game where you're the Punisher and you go around and you just kill mobsters and all sorts of stuff like that. It plays as a third-person shooter, but you can also, like, grab enemies and you can use them as, like, shields, and you can quick kill people, and you can also do interrogations to get information and stuff like that. I say if you're a fan of, like, third-person shooters and just it's a fun little game to play. I only played, like, the first level of it, so I don't have a whole lot to say about it, but that's really my only, like, recent pickup that I played, like I said, so there's that.
Well, who's next?
I guess I'll go. I guess I'll start with a game. I'm no longer renting it. It was like I think once I got it, a 3-day rental max because I platinumed the game. Mirror's Edge Catalyst. I finally got the time to sit down and play through that, and I'm just like, I don't know how I feel about it. I guess I liked it, but I feel like part of me enjoyed the original a little bit more, even though there's a couple of things that Catalyst does better. There's also things that it does kind of worse. Now, I played this on PS4. It runs at 60 frames, but I noticed that at some points the game kind of just hiccups and such, and that kind of hampers the experience a little bit, especially if you're, like, running around all over the place. The controls are relatively the same, which is fine. The story is terrible. It's actually somehow a worse story than the original one, which wasn't, like, that good story-wise to begin with. And it baffles me because, like, during EA's stupid-ass fucking press conferences during E3, It's like, oh, let's explain this world and this villain that looks like the head of EA during these fucking conferences. And, oh, I don't know. The free roaming parts, well, the whole game is like an open world thingy. It is fun. I think it does work with Mirror's Edge, but there came a point where it kind of became irritating to go like around like the city, because there's a lot of points where there's just like guards hanging around and they just start bothering you and shooting you. Oh, speaking of which, the combat is hilarious. You can totally avoid combat, but if you do, you don't have guns. It's all like melee focused, and it would look cool, but if you think about it, it looks super silly, especially when you realize a lot of the enemies in the game are mostly weak to your heavy kicks instead of your like light melee punches, because there's enemies in the game that will pretty much counter that unless they're like stunned. So most of the time it was just like, okay, dodge, hit triangle sideways to knock him into another. It just, oh god. And for an open world game, it is not that long either. So yeah, it was quick rental. I had a little bit of fun with it. I just don't know why I feel a little cold towards it, because I don't really hate the game. It's a weird feeling.
So it was okay.
Yeah, like, I mean, I had my fun with it, but I guess in a way like Mirror's Edge 1, it's like, do I want to revisit it? I don't know.
I mean, I did like Mirror's Edge 1, and I will play Catalyst sometime eventually, just to see
I'll give Catalyst credit. Even though it's like open world, thankfully you can, actually just replay the story and side missions. Like, you could just press start and it's like, oh, if I want to do this dumb shit again, totally could. And side activities are kind of lame in this. There's a lot of, typical open world trappings here. It's like, collect this thing, collect 300 of these things, get all these fast travel point thingies. Although, in terms of unlocking fast travel, I think there's only like three or four in the whole game, because unlocking one gives you multiple points to fast travel to. And the only other thing are just like some of the races, but that's it. There really isn't a lot to do. Now, I would talk about this other game, but I'm just going to save it. But the one game I'm just going to talk about for 10 seconds is Umbrella Corps. It's bad. Okay, I'm done.
Everyone knows that, but yeah.
Well, okay, I guess I should elaborate very briefly. There was a free demo. I decided to play it. Game sucks. I recorded footage. Make of that what you will. That's the most I've gotten out of like my recently played.
Well, I suppose I'll go next. Well, I've mentioned this before, but the only thing I've been playing recently is Monster Hunter Generations. And I'm playing it on the Monster Hunter Generations new 3DS. It took me some getting used to, but I'm starting to get the hang of using that like camera stick that's on the right side of the system.
Oh yeah, that nub.
Yeah, because I'm so used to just playing it on a regular 3DS without the Circle Pad Pro.
Oh yeah, you didn't have a Circle Pad Pro, right?
I didn't. Then Blondie gave me one.
Yeah, I was about to say.
Did you ever use it?
I did use it.
I want to chime in because when I was over at a friend's place, I think sometime last year, just for like a little fun gaming event, one of my friends had a new 3DS, so I'm just like, I had Monster Hunter 4 with me in my 3DS. I'm like, I'll try it out on that. I don't think I'm used to that camera nub. Something about it is like, yeah, it works, but the thing is, it doesn't feel like it moves at all, and that's what's really driving me up the wall.
I think after a while you would just get used to it, though.
I don't
Because you only played it for a little bit at a friend's house.
Yeah, but at the same time, I also tried it at other demo kiosks for like other games, like Majora's Mask 3D. Like, I'm pretty sure right around the time the new 3DS was released.
Well, here's the thing. It's not like another control pad thing. It's like, ever have a laptop where instead of like having a mouse trackpad, it had like a nub sticking up out of it?
Yes.
That's basically what the camera thing is.
I remember those.
I'm enjoying it so far. I mean, it's Monster Hunter. But the whole Generations name is because they're including a bunch of stuff from old Monster Hunter games. And by stuff, I mean characters mainly.
Yeah.
Like, I started at Tri, but I'm starting to see people from the fishing village, like the chief and the chief's son. I'm seeing people from 4U showing up, like all the people from the caravan. You take quests from them, you do favors for them, and the story's pretty light in this game. Like, even by Monster Hunter standards.
Yeah, compared to 4 at least.
I should know, like, since I have, like, played a bit of, like, the older ones, like, even though Tri was my first, I mean, I had to fucking run a goddamn panel about it.
Yeah, same here.
Yeah, so a lot of the other locations, I knew about. I mean, there's some, like, actual hunting areas that I don't think I've ever seen before. Now, considering that I never got far in the older games, I never really got to see what the volcanoes look like. I finally got to the volcano in Generations, and I don't know if it's brand new or if it's from, like, Monster Hunter 1 or Freedom 2.
You got 0.
I think we'd have to ask Zero.
Or just look that up. I don't know.
Yeah, whatever. But something in this game is, over the past couple of games, they've started having more and more uses for your side partners, Palicos.
Yeah, the cat people.
And in this game, they added something called Prowler Mode. Prowler Mode lets you play as a Palico and take special Palico-only missions.
Yeah.
It's surprisingly fun to do.
Yeah, the Palicos are pretty ridiculous, but they're fun to play as.
They have their own special abilities, their own armor and weapon sets. I will say some of their missions are, well, most of their missions are actually pretty easy. Like, it takes until pretty late in the single player until you have a Palico mission where you actually fight one of the bigger monsters. And even then, the mission is not to hunt and kill the monster or capture the monster, it's to wound its head.
Yeah, because Palicos are more of a support character. They're smaller and more agile, but they don't have that much health and don't do a whole lot of damage.
You can still play as one in multiplayer with your hunter friends, though.
Yeah, or you could even have, like, a room of, like, 4, like, Palicos go up against something.
Yeah, and a Palico quest.
I shouldn't know. Like, even though they're weak, I've had my Palicos finish off a monster instead of me.
Yeah, that's happened to me, too.
Yeah, it's not the first time.
Something else that's... I don't know if they've done this before in Monster Hunter. I'm assuming that they have and they just changed it back. But the weapon upgrade system...
No, this is new.
Oh, it is new?
Well, it's done differently in this one.
Yeah, the way they're handling it now is new. Because all the... Like, pretty much dating all the way back to the first game, it's pretty much been the same. Until now.
So, for those of you who don't know, the way Monster Hunter works for armor and weapons has always been... You get parts from a monster, you find parts from the field, just gathering stuff, and then you make weapons out of that. And then you do, like, various weapon upgrades doing the exact same thing. What they have now is they have a leveling system for all of your weapons. Like, you make the weapon, and then you can level it up to access more weapons from the weapons tree.
Or you can just keep leveling up your same one if you don't want to branch out. Because
yeah, and when you level something up, it has, like, a certain type of resource tied to it. And you can pick and choose how much of each particular resource you want to allocate to that in order to reach the next level, which I find pretty interesting.
Yeah, and then the higher the level up, you have to level up your weapon, the more of branching out to other weapons you can make unlocks. So that's actually pretty cool too.
now keep in mind, don't think that doing this, like, you level up a thing, it's like, oh, you could branch out. That does not mean that'll unlock in the smithy to, like, start there. That's not how that works. There are some that you can just start from there, but it's not going to be everything. It's not a thing where it's like, you leveled up the iron sword, now you can branch off to the defender path, which means, hey, you now have the defender path available in the smithy from the start. That's not how that works.
Yeah, because you need like a base weapon.
Yeah.
That.
Something that I'm kind of on so far is the way that they've handled the food system. Before each quest, you can eat food to upgrade your health and stamina bars and give you special abilities, as well as giving you like attack or defense or water or fire resistance. And it's kind of a clusterfuck now.
Yeah, it seems a little. I don't know how to describe it.
Well, you basically you pick a list of recipes that you make from combining.
Yeah, you have to like
combining
combine
ingredients,
and
then you pick like an additive after you pick that recipe, which gives you your special abilities and effects. So, I mean, I don't mind it too much, but it is a little bit. It is slightly more cumbersome than how it was before.
Yeah. Right now I'm not super into it. Although, to be fair, I'm still unlocking ingredients. So like I think there's gonna be a lot of ingredients down the line.
I've unlocked like 2.5 pages worth of ingredients. So I have like almost 3 pages of dishes to sort through. Now for those of you who aren't familiar with how Monster Hunter used to work, it used to be just set ingredients like 2 of each kind and then you would pair them up. And you could upgrade those ingredients to give you more effective boosts. Here it's a bunch of different dishes for like each level of ingredients. So there's a ton more options to go through, and it can be a little bit of a headache to try and keep everything straight.
I think it's more so that they wanted to like have all the combinations as a list, and then you just pick your like specialty. I guess
Okay, we're focusing too. I think we're focusing too much on this. I gotta move on because Nightman's been waiting very patiently.
Long story short, buy Generations, please.
If you like Monster Hunter, you probably already bought it. So
Okay, so I guess.
Well, actually, I had more I wanted to say.
Okay, quick.
Sorry. There's a whole bunch of different stuff here. They completely revamped the Monster Hunter system. So now instead of it being a rock, paper, scissors clusterfuck, it's a sort of like, almost like a bubble bobble clusterfuck.
You just shoot them out of bubbles. I mean, can't you shoot them
Yeah,
out of
you
a
fire your palicos out of a cannon onto this board and have them land on certain resource spots. I've got a pretty good strategy going for it because I keep hitting the rare items. But you can also, for your hunter, adopt different styles in the field.
Yeah, this is the big addition.
Like, you can go for guild, which is just, like, balanced jack-of-all-trades style. You can go striker style, which gives you an extra hunter art, which are special abilities you can use in the field. There's one that's focused entirely on counterattacks. And Unreal...
Aerial greatsword, baby!
Aerials. Entirely focused around jumping and aerial attacks. It's amazing.
Yeah,
The only thing is you only get one hunter art if you select that.
For mounting though, which you can actually attack the monsters while people are mounting to help them.
Yeah, compared
the
to
monster.
4 where you can't do that. So that's a big improvement where it's like, hey, you can totally attack the monsters like while they're fucking being mounted now.
Yeah.
Which is great. You could also hold a button to gather now instead of tapping it. Fucking game is saved.
I mean, it's a minor thing, but it's a nice convenience.
So overall, something's different. I'm kind of on some of the changes they made, but for the most part, the changes were for the better.
This will be our Anime North game next year. Unless they come out with another one before that.
Well, Monster Hunter Stories.
Well, that's... I don't know if that's going to come here. All I know is they have amiibos. You can ride a Rathalos.
Now that the Monster Hunter Power Hour is over, Nightman...
Alright, so I guess I'll start. One pickup I got was the recent Star Ocean game. It's okay at best.
The Star Ocean usually is.
Yeah, pretty much.
God, I hate the title. Integrity and Faithlessness.
Yeah, it's a long
Just
one.
saying it just sounds...
Wow, that's a...
That ain't right.
I don't mean this as an insult, but that's a very Japanese name for a game.
Well,
Yeah.
It's JRPG, so
Most people just call it Star Ocean 5, so.
yeah.
bye.
Anyways, moving on to a better game. I also picked up.
Wait, you're not gonna talk about it at all, other than you just got it.
Wow.
Wait, Star Ocean's whatever. Fuck it.
Yeah.
Move on.
It's all right. I guess I'll talk a little more about it.
I don't know.
You can just talk about just a little bit of just how it plays. That's all.
All right. Well, you got the real-time combat going on with it, which is pretty all right. I like how it flows in combat, and it also has that gimmick of having 7 characters at once, which is kind of one of the reasons why I bought it, just to see, just to test out how that felt like and how it played. So, in that regard, it's okay.
I mean, one thing I will give Star Ocean is that the combat in those games usually are pretty good.
Yeah.
That's really the only thing I like, if anything, of the Star Ocean games. At least the ones that I've played. Or, well, the one I've played anyway.
Alright. And moving on to a better RPG that I've got. I also picked up Tokyo Sessions Fire Emblem. Or Tokyo Mirage Sessions, shall I say.
Yeah.
And I gotta say, it's pretty, one of those lighthearted stories with a whole musical thing going on. And it doesn't really... It plays more like a Shin Megami Tensei game more than a Fire Emblem game, mainly because it's, it's done by Atlas and all of them. And I really like how they did the gameplay. It's definitely different from what both Fire Emblem and Shin Megami Tensei have done. It's pretty much it's still like a turn-based with all your characters and everything, but instead of like the typical demons, you got Fire Emblem characters acting as like the personas or whatever you call them.
They're called performas. Wait, actually, I don't know if they're called performas, but performas is a thing. I just don't know if they're the performas. I just don't remember that.
Yeah, I was pretty much just saying it as a general thing, but yeah, I like it how they do like a play on words with the performa and everything.
If you want more sharp FE, refer to Unreal's impressions a few podcasts ago. I don't even remember what podcast that was, but it was there.
All right, and another game I got on the Wii U would have to be Pokken, and I think it's
more
a really
blazing hentai, please.
I think it's a really good fighting game with the Pokemon and everything. It's it plays a lot like Tekken, obviously, because Bandai Namco was intending that, but
it also plays pretty differently from Tekken because of the phase shift stuff.
Yeah, that too. They kind of add a little bit of assist characters in there too. So overall, I think it's a pretty solid fighter.
When's Pokken go, where you fight people on your street?
That's already happening in some form.
Oh my god.
Street Pokemon fighter. Anyways, one last game that I didn't recently pick it up, but I recently actually just started really playing it. Would have to be an old game called The Legend of Heroes Trials in the Sky. It's got a really alright story so far, and I definitely like how the combat. It's another one of those turn-based kind of strategies, but it's you also like the characters you can have them move around and do off like their special attacks, and it's pretty fast-paced. And that'll be done for me.
Because you did like 4 games when we usually supposed to do 1 or 2, but whatever, that's fine.
That's okay.
Sorry about that.
For as long as I went on.
Yeah, I mean, you didn't talk about too long about them anyway, so it's okay.
Okay.
And that will lead us into our discussion topic, which thanks Blondie for reminding me about this. The N64 first released in Japan June 23rd, 20 years ago. And the anniversary for North America is coming up in late September. So, this is the 20th anniversary year of the Nintendo 64, which all of us have played it, right?
Yep.
I grew up on the N64.
Instead of having an actual discussion topic, because we totally had one before, wink wink, why don't we all just reminisce a little bit about the N64?
My sister sprayed a hose on it once.
That's a weird place to
No,
start.
Jeez.
Okay, so I guess I'll start with
Oh, explain. Explain.
Are you okay?
It just all of a sudden is just like, oh yeah, my sister sprayed my N64 with the hose. That's a weird way to start reminiscing.
Hey, I remember it clearly. Why not? But can I?
Yeah, please.
Like, is it okay
please.
if I at least start with like some stories from my end?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that'll at least be interesting.
Number 2, the N64 wasn't mine; it was my brother's. Pretty much every console, at least until the GameCube, was my brother's, and then it's mine now. I'm still thinking about that stupid hose story. I'm surprised the N64 didn't fucking die that day.
Nintendo systems are durable.
Yeah,
Nintendo
but
tough.
water and electricity equals you're dead.
As long as they didn't get inside of it.
It might have gotten inside one of the Game Sharks. We actually, like, I think we had at least 3 Game Sharks.
Oh yeah, we all know water and sharks don't mix.
Oh my god. Like, we've had at least 3 Game Sharks in our life. 2 normal and 1 Game Shark Pro. I think we even had like a VHS instructional tape, which I don't think, like, either it's hidden in the house somewhere or it's gone forever. But with that instructional tape, I remembered how to cheat in Duke Nukem 64 or even Mortal Kombat Mythologies. Oh, Jesus. Yeah.
I feel bad for you.
Yeah, well, it was a rental. We didn't. God, I do miss our old rental place. It was really right down the street from us, but knew of that more during like Super Nintendo era. But I don't even know if the N64 was already out by then. It's all vague to me. But back to the N64. Loved renting from Blockbuster for games like that. I think we rented Smash Brothers. I know I picked out some rentals like Armorines Project Swarm because I thought, it looks cool, I want to rent it.
Oh yeah, and I ended up giving you that game.
Yeah, well, at least I own it now. Army Men Sarge's Heroes was another game I remember renting. But in terms of like games I've owned,
I love how you're like mentioning all these like third-rate games for the N64 that you rented instead of the well-known classics.
Hey, the well-known classics are obvious. Like, there's plenty that I do own in terms of owned classics. Probably one of the biggest memories was when my brother got Perfect Dark for the first time. And can you guess what happened?
Oh, you didn't have the expansion pack and you couldn't play single player?
Yeah, it was... Back then, I thought that was the game. And I was just like, oh, it's still cool. And then whenever we got the expansion pack, I'm just like, what is this game now?
A whole new game.
Confused. It was like something else to me. We might have gotten the expansion pack with Donkey Kong 64. We did own that.
It did come with that.
Yeah, that might have been the game that came, like, that we got the expansion pack with. But, man, Perfect Dark evolved once you got... Well, obviously it was required to get the full experience, but to me, I wasn't prepared for that. Which is crazy. I had a lot of memories of Perfect Dark. Obviously, same with GoldenEye, but I think I remembered Perfect Dark a little bit more. Because to me, it was more recent and, in a way, a little more memorable, personally. Both are great, but yeah. I have great memories with Turok, like both 1 and 2. I'll talk about Turok a little bit. Original Turok, there was one weird story where I was clearly too young to be playing this game. And since I was a kid, I'm like, I'll just cheat through it. And you do. And then... This is back when I had a babysitter. Let's put this into perspective. I played Turok, get a babysitter, and I get to the end of the game, and if you don't remember, when you beat Turok 1, you jump out of the building, and the game just says game over. So my fucking babysitter's like, you didn't win the game. I'm like, no, I totally won. It's like, it says game over. I'm like, shut up. I didn't swear as a kid, but I totally could have if I was a kid now.
Oh, yeah, especially if we're playing games like Turok, right?
Well, Turok didn't. Didn't really have anything other than or I am Turok, you know.
Oh, that'd be like Shadow Man on the N64. That is swearing.
Yeah, I did not play Shadow Man as a kid. I think I saw it in Nintendo Power magazines.
Right.
Turok 2, of course, fell in love with that game. It's gonna be hard going back to it if I want to do a legit playthrough.
Real, I just have one question that's been bugging me the whole time that you've been talking about the N64 since you brought it up. Why did your sister spray the N64 with a hose?
Okay, so my brother's room is like on the second floor. keep in mind, the hose was outside. So I don't know why, it's some sort of like thing that my sister wanted to do just to kind of like prank. She didn't know the N64 was like, oh, I'm just gonna spray the hose into my brother's room, get him wet, ha ha ha. Sprayed onto the N64. My brother got pissed. So yeah, it's pretty much just like a dumb, haha kid thing,
Okay, fair enough.
Do it, but I was there. I was there when the N64 exploded, except it didn't. But okay, quickly going back to Turok. This also sounds weird. One of my bigger memories with Turok 2 was that while I was somehow recording, like with VHS, back then you could we were able to record TV shows on the VHS. I was able to do that with this. I don't know if this was a blank VHS or not. I don't know if we overwrote like a wedding thing. That would suck. We just VHSing an episode of South Park, specifically the Chin Pokemon episode. And there was an advertisement for Turok 2 I got on VHS. I'm like, oh, that's cool. I think we already had the game then, but it was still cool to see. Fall by Wall Wacky Action Bike. Forever my favorite joke in South Park. And I think the last story I want to go on to for N64, because aside from like Zelda and all the other games, and even F-Zero, I could go on forever, but with Turok 3, do you want to know what it took for me to rent Turok 3?
You went 12 miles in the snow, uphill both ways to the Blockbuster.
As a reward for going to this one... It was a thing when I was in Boy Scouts still, where I think we were just camping out at this racetrack area. I don't exactly remember what it was for, but I remember we had to camp out there and stuff. My reward for doing that was coming back, going to one of the rental stores and saying, I want to rent Turok 3, and I did. The very, very last thing I do remember is, Happy New Year! Okay, that's cool, I'm going back inside to play Smash Brothers.
Nowadays it's like, Happy New Year! Okay, I'm gonna play Overwatch.
Yeah, I just like...
Or some of the game. I don't know.
I think I kind of just saw a bit of fireworks and just went back inside of my room and was like, Smash 64. We had people. We had some friends over and played. Oh! No, I lied. I had one more story. I'm sorry. I have a lot. In terms of Turok Rage Wars, and to a lesser extent, the three South Park N64 games. So, as a kid, I witnessed my brother and his friends witnessing 4-player Turok Rage Wars deathmatch. It's really interesting because seeing Rage Wars was a little confusing to me because it wasn't really like, a traditional Turok game since it was multiplayer focused. But these same guys also, I witnessed them playing both multiplayer on South Park, the FPS one, as well as even playing Chef's Love Shack. But as for South Park Rally, I think I witnessed my brother kind of go through that game a lot. I think nearly unlocking everything. I don't think we purchased any of these games. They might have all been rentals. Or there probably weren't even my brother's copies, probably friends, but N64 was great. I'm glad I grew up with it, even though in a way I also grew up with Super Nintendo. I just had less memories with the NES.
Well, same here actually, because I first got my N64 my 10th birthday, and I still remember getting it because it was like I think it was my uncle or someone from my family who got it for me, and we went down to a Toys R Us to get it. And I don't have a Toys R Us in my town, so we actually had to go out of town. The first games I got with it were Cruisin' USA, as that's what a Canadian gets for the N64, ironically. Okay. And then a little bit afterwards, I got Super Mario 64. Now this game is pretty endearing to me because it's what really got me into gaming, really. Because before the N64, I had a Super Nintendo and a Game Boy, but I only had a few games each, and I didn't play them a whole lot. I did play them now and then, but not I wasn't super dedicated to them, and I really more just watched or played games with my cousin. When I got my N64, that's when it clicked in. I'm like, oh yeah, I want to play this now. Because it was obviously my first 3D platformer, and And many games soon followed. I mean, you got Banjo-Kazooie and Tooie I really enjoyed. Then you got GoldenEye, Perfect Dark. Those were fun shooters for the N64, obviously. I also did rent a few games too for the N64 back then. I remember renting Ocarina of Time. I didn't actually get my own copy till way later. I also got rented like Vigilante 8. Yeah, that's what I meant to say. Vigilante 8 and Vigilante 8 Second Offense.
Speaking of Vigilante 8, that was a game I've always wanted to rent when I was a kid, but never could. I don't know why. It always intrigued me when I saw it in Nintendo Power, but never had the chance to rent it. And I still haven't played it to this day.
You got your obvious ones like Smash Brothers, and I used to have Pokemon Stadium 1 and 2. Those were fun just because if you were into Pokemon, that was fun to be able to transfer your Pokemon from the transfer pack from the Game Boy games into the N64 ones and battle out your Pokemon on the TV.
How could Man,
more stories.
Mario Party. I think that speaks for itself. And
yeah, that definitely does.
I can tell that Mario Party 1 was a game that was played because I remember seeing it. That and the N64 controllers we have were obviously worn out because of the fucking palm thing.
Yeah, because it was the only way to really.
Any of my brother or his friends had that, blister thing, but pretty sure that was the thing. I think I saw more of Mario Party 2 and 3, though, but I did see Mario Party 1. It's too bad that if we had a copy of Mario Party 1, it's gone. Which sucks, because that game's like 30 plus bucks now, and I'm just like, ugh.
Yeah, I still have Mario Party 1, 2, and 3 on 64, and yeah, Mario Party 1 was definitely infamous for, in order to spin the rotating stick minigames fast enough, you had to, use your palm, or that was one method to do that, so it was definitely strenuous there, but, yeah, definitely, with a lot of games, like Mario Party and Smash Brothers, 4-player play with your friends, that was definitely a thing, especially in GoldenEye, I remember doing that as well. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And with games like Banjo-Kazooie and Donkey Kong 64, Rare had a lot of games on the N64.
Yeah,
Perfect Dark.
For the most part, if the Rareware logo was on the game, it's relatively good.
Yeah,
Not to mention the Banjo. Yeah, even Conker's Bad Fur Day in a way.
Yeah, which I wish I had an N64 copy, but I don't. I just have the Xbox version, which is I'm still fine with, but
I still can't believe I have both, let alone the price I got the N64 Bad Fur Day for. I went back to my old footage, how much did I buy for? Really that cheap? Holy shit.
Yeah, good deal back then, but
yeah.
Plus you can get on Rare Replay for Xbox One anyway, so it's not that hard to get at least if you don't mind that version. Yeah,
but if you want to be prime copy, yeah, it's gonna be expensive.
If you want to collect it, it's but
let alone boxed. But yeah, with Bad Fur Day, I had a friend that actually had that game, and I don't know why, he kind of didn't want me to play it, but we kind of did. We did though. We saw the game because we knew it was not intended for our age audience. The game he didn't want me to play was Winback.
Didn't stop you from watching South Park though.
Oh, dude, that same day we watched Inuyasha on fucking Adult Swim, and that had blood and shit.
Okay, now we're just telling me. Now we're just sidetracking into anime. Let's just.
I don't want to go into anime. I'm just putting an example.
You could did. It's Inuyasha.
I don't care about it.
Why did you talk about it?
Because Conker's Bad Fur Day was the same day.
I'm trying to get past 7 minutes.
Better than nothing. Happy anniversary.
Okay. What was I going to say? Oh yeah, and I guess the only thing that you could say about the N64 that was a bit of a downside was because they decided to stick with cartridges, there wasn't very many, if at all, RPGs. I mean, you had Paper Mario, but that was pretty late. The only other RPG that I know of was Ogre Battle 64, which I do have a copy of, but I haven't played much of it. It's kind of like a turn-based strategy RPG in a way.
Fighting games didn't fare that much better.
Yeah. We don't speak of West 64.
But yeah, well, there was a few fighting games. Yeah, KI Gold and
Well, all right. Keyword good. So KI
Mortal
Gold.
Kombat 4
varies maybe.
Mage, the Dark Gauge?
Mace.
Or Mace? Mace?
It's nice. But like, yeah. I mean, yeah, there weren't that many fighting games. RPGs obviously had it worse. I mean, there was another one that you could technically, if you want both, just play Hybrid Heaven. An RPG with fighting mechanics, kind of.
Hey, that was a weird game, yeah.
Yeah, it's super weird.
But there were some other games that were pretty unique for the system too. Like you had games that were kind of a bit more open world-ish, or I guess sandboxy, like Blast Core or Body Harvest.
Oh man, fucking Blast Core.
Love Body Harvest.
And then I guess the one thing you could argue about, SOC4 versus PlayStation, or at least SOC4 it had some good transitions into 3D, like Mario and Zelda, but then there were a couple like Castlevania where they were a little bit iffy, like Castlevania and SOC4 and Legacy of Darkness.
Yeah.
I mean, I played through them. They were okay at best, but they definitely have issues. I'll say that.
I'm trying to find a copy of Legacy of Darkness. I just have 64, and I kind of just stopped playing at this one point. I'm just like, whatever. Like, I wasn't hating it, but I just stopped. I don't think I'm gonna return.
But it's definitely not the best Castlevania game. Legacy of Darkness is a little bit better, but
yeah. How about SCR and Nightman go?
yeah, I mean we've gone.
Well, I have some obvious memories of Super Smash Brothers. Like the very moment I saw that commercial and seeing a bunch of Nintendo characters go at each other, I was pretty much hooked. And then I pretty much begged my parents to let me go rent the game. No regrets, because that was pretty much one of the best things I ever played.
I want to punch the Pikachu.
I love the commercial to death.
Yeah, it's still one of the better video game commercials.
Yeah.
Which yeah, I'm pretty sure I did see that as a kid too.
Yeah.
I think we were already playing Smash by then. It's hard to remember.
Another game I played religiously would have to be Star Wars Shadows of the Empire.
Oh, right. I definitely rented that as a kid.
I did too, and I think a lot of us have played that at some point.
There's a reason I constantly bring up the fucking train level.
The train level was the worst. My brother got
Not
that.
really.
Not really, I'd argue. It's just the level that was the game for me. Oh, and stupid speeder bike.
Well, the speeder bike has not held up at all.
Just crash into all the walls.
The rest of the game, I still think is okay.
Yeah, and I've seen like recent reviews. I could tell you it probably didn't age well, but
Cough, pro Jared cough.
Yeah, pretty much. But
hey, back when I streamed it, I did relatively all right, except when I forced myself into the cinematic camera mode, where it was just impossible to play.
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah, I don't know why that was even a feature, but
I want to try something, and it's optional, so it's like whatever.
It made me laugh. I'm glad it's there because it's stupid.
See. Donkey Kong 64 was definitely another game that me and my brother used to play all the time.
It's funny. I 100% in Banjo-Kazooie and Tooie, but I still haven't played through 64, even though it plays pretty much like the Banjo-Kazooie games.
Yeah, essentially. Yeah.
I think the problem is like there's a bunch of more bullshit, as like stuff to collect, and it just seems like it drags.
A lot of people do argue that with Donkey Kong 64 that they kind of went a little overboard with the amount of stuff you had to get in that one.
Yeah, the problem was so many of the items you had to collect. It's exclusive to one Kong each. That's pretty much how the game got a little dragged down.
Because you had to play through all the levels with all 5 Kongs, so it's
you have to play as stupid Lanky Man.
Yeah.
You mean the best Kong?
But one of the most memorable things I gotta say would have to be the intro cutscene, the DK rap.
Yeah, everybody.
We don't need to talk about it because
everybody.
Yeah. All right, sorry about that.
That's fine.
Yeah. All right. I know Unreal already mentioned this, but Perfect Dark was definitely one game I was very fond of. Me and my brother would play the multiplayer a lot, and pretty much the story was pretty good on that too, so not going to go too much in that. I'm going back into some Star Wars games. Star Wars Episode 1 Racer.
Oh, yeah.
Whoa!
Which is one of the better things to come out of Episode 1, arguably. But
yeah,
I did play that. I did play that too when it came out. So
And you obviously can't ignore Rogue Squadron. Mission
Yes,
fail.
Rogue
all the
Squadron,
time.
which I believe that was when I got the expansion pack because it was compatible with it.
I was actually just about to mention Rogue Squadron.
Yeah.
All right.
Star Fox 64.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
The
How can
Rumble
I?
pack?
How could I?
Forget the Rumble pack?
Yeah. How could I forget that? That was a.
What are you doing?
Yeah, exactly. That was a big one for my 64 days too. I'm surprised I forgot to
Yeah,
mention
same
that.
here. Believe me, I know it was big because how many fucking Rumble packs do I have that got leaked battery acid on it? Too much.
I still have mine and it works.
Yeah, like I cleaned mine out. Like I, fucking neutralized the acid and stuff with like baking soda water, and it still works. It's pretty incredible. I mean, this is the Rumble pack, but very important. Although, I think later down the line, I think most people started maybe getting like the Rumble pack / memory card combo things because.
Oh, well, that was like a.
With that, you have to do one or the other, unless you had one of those third-party ones that almost never worked.
Never had those. I mean, funny enough, I didn't have it. I've rarely had games that used the controller pack, so later on when I got games that required you to save to those, I'm just like, wait, what?
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, definitely later down the line, games like Perfect Dark. Perfect Dark, you'd actually use both, but I'm just like, fucking just put it on the cart.
You can use a controller pack to save with Perfect Dark?
I think so, but
I know
you just
Blast
use the
Core
cartridge.
could, but
Blast Core.
well, I mean, not. There were some games that you required to it, like Castlevania 64. You needed a controller pack to save, and
The World is not enough. Also,
Duke
Bond
Nukem
is here.
64, I think, or
Fucking
Duke Nukem. What was the 64 one?
64 or
Zero
Hour?
Mission.
Zero Hour.
Zero Mission. That's Metroid.
It's 0 Hour.
Yeah, but I'm just saying there were games that required you to use the controller pack to save. It was just kind of funny how I didn't have very many that did it at all. I think Cruis'n USA was the only one I had that.
The one game that just made me go, oh, you really need to have the fucking memory card on it was The World Is Not Enough. I think we had like stuff unlocked on it, but that save data is gone. And then you're like for years, just like one save file stuck at the nice shit level. Bond is here. Fucking made me mad as a kid. Worst thing. At least years later I beat it, but man. Ooh.
Scott, do you have anything to say about the N64? I know it's mostly been us talking about it, so.
My perspective is a little skewed by the fact that my family was subscribed to Nintendo Power.
Alright.
That sounds like a plus.
We had been since we got the NES. And funny enough, that's sort of how I learned to read was Nintendo Power magazine.
Whoa, nice graphics.
Huck Finn has nice graphics. Anyway, because we were Nintendo Power members, we'd occasionally get like catalogs from the Nintendo Treehouse, and we also got promotional videos. And there was a promotional video we got for the N64. And if you haven't seen it, you'll have to see it sometime. Maybe we'll like watch it after this podcast or something. But it was this thing where they invited like select gamers to come to Nintendo HQ and see this preview of the N64. And they previewed Mario 64, which at the time was just like, wait, Mario's in 3D? Holy shit. They showed Pilot Wing 64, and they showed Shadows of the Empire. And I wound up getting 2 out of those 3. I wasn't really into Pilot Wing,
It's alright for
so
what it is.
didn't get that. But
You can speedrun it.
yeah. And then, of course, it's a 90s video, so the end of it is just like this grinding rock guitar riff, like, and then a bunch of trailers for different games, including Killer Instinct.
Now, was it still called the Ultra 64 by this point?
No, it was called the Nintendo 64, because I remember the end of the video has one of the guys just saying, N64.
Okay, so this isn't the N64
rules.
video.
No. But I actually got the N64 for Christmas. And somewhere in my family's collection of VHSs, there's this video of we'd already opened the presents and set some of the stuff up, and we set up the N64. And it's a video of just me sitting there playing Mario 64. And my parents ask, "What do you think, Scott?"
You're so
and
focused.
I did not answer
I thought you were
them.
just going to go, "It's bad," and that's it.
I didn't even hear them. But that's how I got my start with the N64. And I did also get Shadows of the Empire, and I played the shit out of that. Wound up finding all the coins in it. And,
Emblems?
well, coins or tokens or whatever those things are called.
You just played it. Huh?
Yeah.
Gee.
But things aside from the games that I have in front of me, this was the time when, because I had a brother and we would get different systems. He was Sega Genesis, I was SNES. He got the Sony PlayStation, I was N64. And this was the point in video games where we both look at each other and we go, the console war is bullshit. Why are we doing this? Let's just share games.
Hey, at least you and your brother had a good system going.
Oh yeah, we wound up buying games for each other's systems too. And this is around the time when my brother was still like experimenting with different genres of games like survival horror, and wound up getting Resident Evil 2 on the N64. And this is where my fandom for Resident Evil really took off. Because the entire reason we just got it for N64 was, well, load times, might as well go for that. And because it was on the N64 and the console was in my room, I wound up playing it a lot more. And that's how I got into that. Another thing I got into on the N64, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater. I realized that was multi-platform, but N64 is where I got my start with it. The music loops are ridiculously short. The Dead Kennedy song Police Truck has no lyrics.
There's a lot of sound and music on 64 games.
That and Dead Kennedy lyrics.
Well, I don't think the lyrics, tonight's the night we're gonna ride the truck, we're going downtown, gonna beat up drunks. I don't think that would fly well on the N64. That or we're gonna beat you blue till you shit in your pants. Oh jeez. Something both my brother and I played on the N64.
I think everybody did.
GoldenEye. Specifically, some of my brother's friends would come over, some of my friends would come over, and we'd all do the multiplayer on GoldenEye. And this is where I was introduced to screen cheating. I wasn't actually doing it, but I got accused of it a lot. Which is amazing, because I wasn't any good at GoldenEye. So I guess they just assumed any time I got a kill, it had to be screen cheating. There's another game I have, which the memories are almost entirely based on multiplayer. And it's another thing that I got a promo video for. Top Gear Rally. It's a racing game. The series started, I believe, on the SNES, because we had the first two games, and my brother would kick my ass at those games. But Top Gear Rally I would play with this other friend of mine, and he had this habit of getting stuck on parts of the environment. And it led to us just going, you know what? Let's see all the different places we can get off of the track and get stuck. And in order to get out of it, the other person would have to find the way off the track and then ram into the other person's car to get us back on track. We rarely ever raced
Like
in Top Gear
Destruction
Rally, which is kind of
Derby?
weird.
Oh,
Yeah, which
right.
actually I had that on the PlayStation. Another game I have memories of just because of all the promotion that went in
was
with this
another
Pokemon Snap.
Pokemon game, like especially if you're into Pokemon back then, that was one to. I rented that back then too.
Yeah,
so.
same here.
Same.
I think I have like the strategy guide for it.
Well, here's the thing. Growing up at my parents' house, there was our house, our backyard, then there was this big-ass like mound of dirt and trees. And we could walk through that and go into the back of a shopping center. And in that shopping center was a Blockbuster. Do you remember what Blockbuster was
Yes,
doing?
you could like
when
you could like take your
Pokemon Snap
cartridge
came out?
over to them and you could print out the pictures you took in the game.
Yes.
I don't think I did, but
I
I do
did that a
remember
few
those
times.
machines.
This is actually another game that showed up in that promotional video, just for a little bit. International Superstar Soccer 64. It was my introduction to like soccer sports games. And it was also my introduction to the really choppy style of game commentary where they clearly recorded
Jesus.
everything separately and tried to splice it all together. Like, you would hear the announcer introducing the game, and he'd say like, It's a lovely day for football. Today we have Brazil
Good to know Wayne
versus
Gretzky 3D hockey
Argentina.
does the same thing.
Hartford.
I still
Oh,
hear
no.
that announcer's voice when I'm just watching soccer casually. Like I'll hear USA, live another day. And in fact, the Euro tournament happened recently, and Wales was in it. Wales is my
Wait, is this
favorite
the one where it just
name
goes Wales?
to hear in International Superstar Soccer 64.
Yeah, that's what
He goes,
got it.
Wales. So if you saw me on Twitter
Yeah,
recently just
Yeah,
saying
that's
Wales,
64 for you.
that's why.
Good. Great.
Star Fox 64 was like one of the few that actually had consistently good, or at least at the time, quality voice acting.
Speaking of another game with great voice
That's
acting,
a really good one.
I had WWF Warzone, which as a wrestling game it sucks. It's really slow, the moves are incredibly convoluted to put in, but if you do like the pounce and the right-handed punches with Steve Austin, he will say, "Don't take this ass whooping personally, son." Or,
Was that
"Oh, hell
Stone Cold
yeah!"
Steve Austin? Oh my god.
My favorite part of that game, though, had to be Thrasher from the Headbangers, because if you beat him up enough, eventually he would go, "Oh, I swallowed my tongue ring!" And you
Wow,
could
tongue
get him to
rings.
swallow his tongue ring like 6 times in the course of one match.
I remember every time you would like when you're fighting Mankind, and every time he gets it, he would make a sound like this.
He would squeal like a pig. Also, Goldust sounded really effeminate. You could get him in a submission hold and he would go, "Ah!" Because next is Wayne Gretzky's 3D hockey. Which I actually love the announcer in 3D hockey, not even from an ironic standpoint like
That's
the
the end of the
Superstar
game.
Soccer game. I really like the way the announcer sounds.
Hartford versus Hartford.
Robin Hood and his merry men are up to it again.
That was my introduction to 3D hockey. Just seeing that.
Oh, yeah.
matchup.
I mean, I love just the arcade style play of 3D hockey, but
The
man,
fight every second.
the cheats in that game are something else.
Best part of Kineticon 2010, introducing me
Fight
to that
every
game
second.
and doing the fights every 5 seconds.
Believe it or not, I played through an entire season with the fight cheat on. So that's like 90-something games, each of which stopped constantly
That was
because
fun.
fights were happening. The only thing more ridiculous than that was I had a game called Triple Play 2000. It's one of the only baseball games I ever owned. And for whatever reason, they made it so that you had complete control over not just your team, but also the team that you were going to play against. And you could make custom characters. So I thought, how about I make an entire roster of characters that are 4 feet tall and have the worst stats possible? And how about I trade them to my opponent every time I play against a certain person? So I would wind up getting scores in that game of like 57-0. And anytime I put the ball in the field of play, there would always be at least 2 errors. Because they couldn't pick up the ball, then they could pick up the ball, and then they tried to throw it to first, and it would just like soar into the stands. But the last thing I'm going to mention is my most frustrating experience and yet also most gratifying experience.
Oh, I thought you were
which
just
is
going to say
some of the
Blast
Mario
Core
sports
and just
games.
leave it at that.
No. But the one that really pissed me off,
You
but
just
I also
made
really
me
enjoyed,
remember that
Mario
I
Golf.
witnessed Mario Golf when I was like on a vacation thing in fucking Rhode Island. I think my brother was trying to go for everything.
Oh, I went for everything. I got everything.
I don't think I got
Dude,
everything in that
it
game,
was,
but
oh
It's
my
not
God.
a sunny day.
I aged 3 years playing this game. Because, okay, for those of you who don't know how Mario Golf works, there are a bunch of things that you can get in the game. One of them is birdie badges. And you can get one on each hole by getting a birdie. By the way, the courses get insanely hard later on. And also, the wind changes randomly every time you play it. So, there are some courses where, like in the later, harder ones, there's just this, like, little tiny green that's right on the edge of this cliff that's going down into some water, and in front of that is a bunch of thick, roughened sand that you can't really hit the ball out of. Imagine doing that with no wind. Now imagine doing it with wind blowing 20 miles per hour to the left. Now you're understanding how frustrating it was to get birdie badges on all of the holes. But even more frustrating than that, I found, was you would only start off with a couple different characters, and you had to earn more characters with Get Character mode. Oh, Jesus. The thing is, the characters you started with always had, like, really low driver distances. They could hit the ball straight for the most part.
Yeah, it wasn't until characters
couldn't really hit
unlocked
the ball far.
that got farther drives.
And yeah, and
Yeah.
the characters you were playing against could almost always hit the ball farther than you. So I remember one time, this is really early in the mode, I wound up going into triple sudden death against Luigi.
Okay, at least
And I finally
I'm
beat
just.
him.
Hey, that was.
And
me
I
during
ran into the
FCR
family room and
GX,
screamed,
except
yes.
I did that out the window.
There, it's not a
Dude.
sunny day.
I've witnessed Mario's
Fuck
golf.
Sonny.
I know. Then we played real golf that same day. Well, miniature golf, but even then, it's just like.
You know who I did like was Harry. Because anytime you got a par, he would cross his arms over his chest and go, "Ugh." It looked like he
He's just
died
like,
on
"Oh,
every course I got a
could
par
have done
on."
better.
Although the person I played as pretty much any time I could was, I think her name was Maple? It's the character you unlock when you get half of the birdie badges in the game. Because she can hit it decently
Wait,
far
did you unlock a
and
character
straight.
when you get all of them? Was it Metal Mario?
Yes, you do.
How not worth it is
I think it's Metal Mario. I didn't play as him because he has like a really wide draw on his shots, and at the time I could not comprehend how to make that work. But
Yeah, I mean, we've obviously
I
had a
think
lot
that's
of
my
fun,
N64
fun with
memories.
it, the system throughout the years. I guess the only things I guess you could say about it that were, again, just a little bit lacking was I guess third party, because this was around the time when third party was starting to get a little bit lacking for the N64. I mean, you still had some third party games like Doom 64 or Mischief Makers, but for the most part, it was clear that people were jumping onto the CD technology of like PlayStation rather than wanting to do cartridge stuff with 64. And and the N64 doesn't have its share of stinkers too,
Oh,
Yeah, which I actually own in box.
Daikatana.
Superman 64.
I played
Yeah,
that
that's-
okay. Yeah, I did play Superman 64 as a kid.
Actually, I just remembered. I rented Quest 64 one time. And the one thing I remember is I was really annoyed by the music. Primarily the overworld music. So instead what I did was I would play the game on mute. Or like actually the TV I had, if you put it on mute, you could still kind of hear sound out of it. So I had this like little stereo in my room. And I would just put on Rapper's Delight and play Quest 64 with that going. So just imagine doing battles in Quest 64 while hearing the hip hop, hip to the hip hop, and you don't stop the run to the bang bang boogie, so up the boogie to the rhythm of the boogie to the beat.
So I guess it would be fitting in a way. I don't know.
Actually, it wasn't just the music; it was the sound. Because when you walk around in Quest 64, it makes this like sound.
Yeah, I mean, the only other bad games I played on the 64 was like Earthworm Jim 3D. That was not a really good transition to 3D for Earthworm Jim.
I'm trying to think of like as a kid, well, what I would consider bad games, like ones that I got my hands on that I would consider bad. I probably avoided most of it, believe it or not.
in here until I started reviewing them. Or at least with Earthworm Jim anyway.
Yeah. I mean, nowadays I'm pretty sure I've played bad N64 ones, but
Oh, and
I don't think
how can we forget the best fighting game ever, Duel Heroes?
I didn't even know that existed until
Yeah,
I was
'cause
researching
that's-
the Bloody War retrospective.
I think we've exhausted the N64.
Yeah, I think we mentioned just about everything about it, really.
Let's go on to viewer questions,
Okay, good. So, do we have
of
to
which
come
we
up
have
with...
none. Actually, I'm basing this off of an article that I saw. There's a cafe and a shop
Oh.
opening up in Japan themed around Kirby. And they have their own, like, Kirby-inspired dishes. Like, you can get a stack of Kirby pancakes, You can get some barbecued ribs themed around King DDD. They have star cocktails.
Oh yeah, I
Some
forgot
sort
to
of
mention
like
Curry 64
Meta
when
Night
we talked about
parfait
N64,
Sunday
but-
thing. Maxim tomato soup.
I kind of want the pancakes. It sounds
And of
good.
course cupcakes, because you gotta have that. Well, my question is, you can open a restaurant themed around one video game, what would it be? And you can't go for easy shit like Cooking Mama.
Yakuza, because it's just real life food advertised in the game. No,
That's cheating.
I'll come back to you.
Okay, well, I'll give one just to help you guys stall for a little time. I would go
God
with
damn it.
a Mischief Maker's Shake Shake Shop.
Oh, you know what I would go with? Like a Vanillaware game.
Hmm?
Vanillaware themes restaurant, like Muramasa or Odin Spear, the food you eat in those games.
But it all tastes like vanilla because that's the company.
Oh, yeah.
Well, that'd just be the specialty.
I wouldn't mind having a restaurant like that with all the dishes from Muramasa. So long as I can eat them in, like, not
Yeah.
3 gigantic bites.
This one might be a little obvious, but how about a Pac-Man themed restaurant?
You can get dots, 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 dots.
Well, you
and
could also
dots.
get,
In
like,
fact, it's
pixelated
Dippin'
fruit,
Dots.
you know,
That already exists.
And ghosts.
How would you,
Ghost
how
shaped
would you
food?
serve
I don't know.
ghosts?
I was leaning towards a Xenoblade Chronicles themed restaurant just so I can have an item called Ricky's Rice Balls.
Oh wait, you already mentioned Yakuza. I forgot.
Well, Yakuza was a joke.
Oh, okay.
Because the Xenoblade Chronicles theme restaurant, Ricky's Rice Balls, shove them in your mouth. Shove them up your own ass.
I'm going to go for something that isn't a low fruit
You eat the
hanging
baby,
fruit and say a
that's it.
Metroid restaurant.
What would the so would it just be
Metroids are
like the
extinct,
Metroid
and they're
shaped
delicious.
gelatin thing?
Well, you could have that. You could also have like variations on it, like you hit it with
Or
an
how
ice
about
beam, and now it's an ice cream.
A Ridley
shaped
like
a Metroid.
lobster meal where you just crack open Ridley's shells and just eat bins.
And when you crack it open, it goes, ah! Mother brain pasta bowl.
Will it kill
or-
3
or-
speedrunners out of 4?
Or like or
Judge.
or a Craig rump roast?
A Fantoon meal that actually isn't there.
Oh god. Well, how about a fast
Will
food
eating it
place
make you
themed around
inherently mad at
F-Zero?
video games?
Only if you eat at the highest difficulty.
No,
think
you
that goes
just
with
eat
the
Chapter
territory.
7.
Try Captain Falcon's Falcon Dogs.
I think that's good enough.
We've exhausted.
It doesn't say that in the fucking...
Good enough. Anyway, if somebody has a legit question, or even a not legit question, because we seem to get more of those anyway, that you want to ask us and have us answer on the podcast, feel free to leave a comment on the YouTube upload, on the site post, or on Facebook, facebook.com/RiverCityGamers. For now, though, let's get into video updates. And you know what, Nightman, we haven't heard from you
Well,
in
as
a
Shadow
while on
was
the podcast.
probably
Why don't
mentioned
you lead
before in
us
a
off?
previous podcast, we got our crossover review done on Dengeki Boko Fighting Climax. And like he's probably said, we're just waiting on the title card, and I gotta show him the video to see if he wants me to change anything or whatnot. And that's probably all I got for right now.
Okay, unreal.
Okay, I'm gonna avoid talking about Michigan because that's your material. I feel like you would be able to talk about that. But from my side of the thing, the collaboration
Fair enough.
hasn't had any work done on it, but just still thinking about certain aspects of it. Still have to figure out how recording is going to be done, especially on your end, SCR, because I need to know if the your capture device is gonna like the game or even the system, because you said it's had issues.
I'm working on it.
It'd be good to know, because that means I would have to like put the game in and do a run. I might have to make some space on a computer a little bit to get some footage. And of course, there's always the whole like transferring it now, since Skype won't let us do that anymore because they limited the file size like stupid people.
Choose like a drop file site or something.
Yeah, that's the thing. We're just like, which one? Whatever.
Zero used like what was it called?
Mediafire?
Oh, it's forget the name.
Forget about it for now. It's not important.
I'll tell you later.
Okay. But that's pretty much it. Speaking of which, SCR, I still have to send you like the live action stuff because I was like holding off on sending it because I was editing like it together, and I'm not sure if I'm happy with how it's edited, so I could probably send the raws and that one, and then you can probably figure out if that's good enough. But
For a while, I panicked and thought I accidentally deleted it from my
Yeah, don't
memory
worry
card.
about
Then I remembered,
that.
we shot it on a different camera.
still not saying what the game is. But I will say we are kind of running out of time in some aspect, but we still have quite a bit of time to work on. The only other thing is, this is kind of impromptu, but yesterday, like prior to recording the podcast, like whatever, I'm not dating this or anything. I recorded some footage just on a whim. Recorded some video footage of Umbrella Corps. I might do an impromptu video on that. I'd have to think about it. I have maybe an hour of footage, maybe slightly more, but I feel like I have enough where I can just do something on the game. I'm gonna think it over, but yeah, I'll just leave it at that. Something might come out of it, something might not. I'm gonna think it over. Who knows? It's Umbrella Corps. I think I already made my
Think it
decision.
over.
God damn it, you're right.
So that's a yes.
Okay, so if anything, it might be a review, but it may be non-traditional because the free demo, which, by the way, by the time this podcast has gone up, there is no more free demo, because what they did is they offered the game for free, but I don't think everything is accessible. I mean, I'd say about 95% of the game is accessible in the demo. The 5% that I couldn't really access was RE.net and the experiment single-player travesty garbage bullshit. I don't know why I couldn't access that. I don't know if it was because of the demo, but everything else, all the multiplayer maps, all the multiplayer modes, which, by the way, both modes and maps are so limited in the full game, it's like I played Umbrella Corps for real. So it's kind of like, usually it's like, why would I review a game based on the demo? But this is a special case where the demo pretty much is the game. Again, like with the experiment thing notwithstanding, everything's there. I didn't get to customize my character or weapons, but that's just, check mark multiplayer stuff that it's not worth talking about. I got to experience Umbrella Corps, and yeah.
I'd just like to remind everyone that Umbrella Corps was part of how Capcom
unbelievable.
celebrated the
Wow.
anniversary of Resident Evil.
It's a game like that.
No!
Or forget, or at least you guys won't.
But that's pretty much it. If I need to do anything, still, if I'm going to do that video, I'm probably going to get some brief footage of the Resident Evil 7 demo to remind me I have this to look forward to instead. I'm done.
I'll go next, since you mentioned Michigan. I'm still working on the next part of that. Obviously, it's a little more work because I have translation shit to do. But my main focus has been that I'm taking summer classes right now, and once those are done, I graduate. So my primary focus has been all on my classes for these last, 4 weeks or so. However, I did have a Fearless video that went up recently, and I'm going to have a Strumming the Bassline video that'll go up over the next weekend. And even though it's a really short song that I did for it, it still hurt my hands to play just because of how fast-paced it is. As for my main videos, I've done a little work on the next SC on, but not anything majorly substantial. I still got the script up to 3 pages and haven't played the game yet, but it's one of those fuck my childhood kind of games. But let's see. Other than that, I do still have the preview for a new series that I'll hopefully have up within the next week. Although I'm not going to make any promises because I have something else that I'm prepping for, which
it's something that we're
Lonnie,
going
you
to...
know what I'm talking about. Yes, myself, Blonde Guy Gamer, and Zero Master, we're all going to Con Bravo, which is the weekend of the 29th through the 31st. Which, by the way, I'm going to be doing homework over the course of the convention. But I believe that's it for me. So,
I know this
Lonnie,
is the third
take it away.
time I mentioned this since being on the podcast, but the kickback video for my number 9 is still in the works. I have all the footage I need. I'm just writing the script for it, and since kickbacks are usually a short review, chances are it'll be done before I go to Con Bravo. And speaking of Con Bravo, there'll be a short little video on that, of course, likely. Other than that, in terms of my main videos, X Black Sheep Game Review is actually going to be another Patreon request. Now, the game that's been requested is going to be something that'll make you go, oh no, why? I'll just say that. I've ordered it from eBay. I'm just waiting for it to come in. Hopefully I'll get it before I go to Con Bravo, but I won't be able to work on it till after Con Bravo, obviously. Something that I'm quote-unquote looking forward to playing the review, to say the least. But yeah, that's about it, at least in terms of what I'm planning on doing soon. You're not going to be right. I'm just going to say that.
I'm going to keep them to myself. Okay, if you say so. That brings us to the end of the podcast. So I'm SCXDR.
I'm the Nightman.
And I'm gonna get on Monster Hunter right now.
I would get on the Splatfest. I want to get a little bit in because it's the last one.
Yeah, we're totally gonna work on our videos, not play video games instead.
It's past midnight. I ain't working on shit.